Accidents happen. Crimes are committed. We all know Bill didn't commit a crime that night. We know from the evidence presented in this case that Bill didn't act with an intent to kill Rylee. He didn't act with an intent to hurt Rylee. In the moment that Rylee was shot, there was a struggle over that gun, and Rylee was pulling it away, causing Bill's finger to hit that trigger. It's sad. This is a sad case. The judge is going to read you one more instruction or two. One of the final instructions tells you, base your decision not on sympathy, but on the facts. It's a sad case where an 18-year-old lost his life. We saw so many witnesses through this trial how they felt when they found out Rylee passed away. We saw everyone's reaction trying to talk about what happened that night. Everybody who knew Rylee, Bill included. And it wasn't just Bill on the witness stand when he broke down trying to talk about Rylee. When Officer Rodenz first told Bill, this is the first time Bill is told that Rylee didn't make it. You saw his reaction in that video. His face was slightly behind a mask, but you saw those tears in his eyes. You saw him doing this. That's also a man who cared about Rylee, who was devastated to find out that Rylee didn't make it. Don't be swayed by the sympathy in this case in reaching your verdict. Look at the facts that we all heard. Everybody that you heard through about what Bill was going to do that night talked about Bill wanted the animals. Bill wanted to bring them home safely. Nobody said he only wanted to find the animals. Everybody said he wanted to find them and bring them home safely that night. Tara tells you, she testified that when Bill and Tiffany came over, they were asking about the animals. If she'd heard any information about the animals. She even told you that right before Bill and Tiffany leave, Tiffany says, if you see Rylee, tell him we're not angry. We just want to get the animals back. Now she tries to tell you that Bill was agitated. And remember what she told you what made Bill agitated? Daisha showing Bill and Tiffany the Snapchat video and photo. But we heard from Tiffany, we heard from Bill, we heard from Rowan that while they're still at East Road, they received that Snapchat information. That wouldn't have caused Bill to become agitated at Tara's house. It was information he already knew. She said he was calm. When he left, he was calm. Bill knew Rylee was involved, but was still calm. All he wanted to know was where the animals were so he could go get them and bring them home safely. When he met with Officer Wazrud testified, Bill was calm. He expressed concern about the animals. He expressed concern that when finding out Rylee might be released from jail that night, that Rylee could go and move or get rid of or stash the evidence. And Bill would not be able to get them and bring them home safely. April testified that when Bill left, all he wanted to do was find the animals and bring them home safely. Not a single person told you that Bill was so angry, so upset with Rylee, that he wanted to hurt him, much less kill him. Nobody testified about that. We can see in that timeline that Bill left East Road and shortly into his drive was told, avoid Mill Street. Law enforcement's already on scene. And Bill knows, hopefully law enforcement's going to get some information. So he doesn't go to Mill Street. He hangs out on Main Street for a while. Then he goes to Tara's house. And you saw there's no urgency at that time. He pulls in the driveway behind Tara, drives all the way to the back by her garage, following Tara down that driveway. Because there's no urgency at that point. He's killing some time waiting for the police to let him know some information about where these animals might be. But he's not there long because he gets that phone call from Officer Wazrud to come and meet him on Main Street. Even Tara told you on the stand that when they left, they said, we'll be back. We know Bill was driving in the direction of Tara's house after he met with Officer Wazrud. We don't know exactly at what point in his drive from Main Street back to Van Street that he did get that phone call from Danielle. But he was driving back to Tara's house. And yes, at some point during that drive, they found out where the animals were. That was part of that priority that night. Bringing them home safely was the other part of his main priority. And so when he sees Rylee, he doesn't even know that that's Rylee down the road on School Street in the distance. He thinks it could be. So he turns onto Van Street, drives all the way down, and parks in front of Tara's house. Because he's going to tell Tara, don't give Rylee a ride. If that's Rylee and he's going to come over here, don't give him a ride. Because Bill knows, Rylee now knows where these animals are. And if he's going to be released from the jail and come get these animals, there's going to be a confrontation at Angela's house. And Angela said to Bill and Tiffany, I don't want any trouble. I don't want the police over here. They were over here earlier. Don't bring any trouble. I don't want any trouble here. So he parks on the road because he is just going to run in and tell Tara not to give Rylee a ride. Rylee got a ride everywhere. Rylee didn't have a driver's license. Rylee didn't have a car. He got rides everywhere. From Madison, from Mackenzie, the daughters of Tara, who could be at Tara's house. Tara doesn't know where these animals are. And the state, in cross-examining Bill, said, well, it would be obvious that Tara wouldn't give Rylee a ride to Angela's. Why? Tara didn't know the animals were over at Angela's. It wouldn't be all that strange for Rylee to come over and ask for a ride. And in closing, the state tried to get you to believe that Bill's testimony was he got out of his car after he parked and he was walking down Tara's driveway. But that's not what Bill told you. Bill told you he got out of his car and started to walk towards Tara's driveway. Didn't even make it to Tara's driveway, and he sees somebody off in the distance running at him. He doesn't know who that is until Rylee speaks and is yelling, I'm going to get you, which is the same thing that he told Bill right before Bill's firearms went missing. When Bill saw Rylee running down the road at him, threatening him, the state keeps telling you, well, Rylee was unarmed. We know Rylee was unarmed. He didn't have a weapon on him. Bill believed he could have a weapon, because Rylee had stolen guns from him. Rylee could have other weapons on him. Bill told you, in his experience, if you get brought to the jail and you have weapons that you're legally allowed to have, knives, and you're released, they're going to give them back to you. There's no reason for the police to hold on to your knife if you're going to be released, and you can legally have that knife. So as Rylee's charging down the road at Bill on this dark street, Bill has no idea that Rylee could be unarmed. He believes Rylee is armed. That's why he goes back to his car and he gets that shotgun. Because Rylee can be armed, and if Rylee has a weapon, he's going to get Bill. Those are Rylee's words. And all of the prior experience Bill had with Rylee, seeing Rylee chase Mackenzie, knowing that he beat up Mackenzie, got into fights at the jail, threatened him, threatened Tiffany just days before this incident. That's why Bill grabs his gun. Tiffany had got out of the car, and they're on the road, seeing Rylee come at him. He's not walking. Nobody said that Rylee was just walking down Van Street, because where he was when Bill saw him was down School Street. And the state presented evidence that to walk the distance of Van would take 2 minutes, more than 2 minutes if Rylee's down School Street. But Rylee's there in just over a minute, because he's running down School Street, running around the corner, and running directly at Bill. Even Tiffany testified to that Rylee was running down the road. So he gets the gun in an attempt to stop Rylee. The state told you Bill testified when he grabbed that gun, he loaded it and pulled the hammers back. That wasn't Bill's testimony. Bill's testimony was, I don't remember when the hammers were pulled back. He didn't say, I grabbed that gun and I loaded it quick and I pulled the hammers back. No, he didn't do that because he wasn't intending to use that gun. He wasn't intending to shoot Rylee. He was intending to stop the threat that was barreling towards him. And the sight of a gun would hopefully stop Rylee from advancing towards him. We saw that use of form sheet that the state presented. Simply displaying a firearm is use of force that can hopefully stop a threat from coming towards you. And so Bill got his shotgun and he approached where Rylee was running at him. Hopefully, Rylee would stop. And at some point, he did stop on the street, right in front of Joseph Brown's house. And that's where the video starts. But Rylee didn't just magically appear standing in one spot. He was running down the street at Bill, and Bill was trying to stop any more advancement coming towards him. And Rylee was looking to fight. We heard Rylee several times, "Put down the gun and fight me like a man." So when Bill and Rylee are close, we see this video. We're going to play it one more time for you. And watch. Rylee doesn't have his jacket on. When he takes his jacket off because he wants to fight Bill, Bill told you at that moment, I thought it was unlikely that Rylee had any sort of weapon. So what does Bill do at that point? When he now believes Rylee may not be armed. He gives Tiffany the gun and gets his taser because now he knows, now I really don't need to use this gun. I never wanted to use it. I never intended to use it because I don't want to kill Rylee. I just want to stop him from coming towards me. So that's why he takes out his taser and attempts to subdue Rylee. And it's not until Rylee runs to the car. And remember the testimony? Rylee's been in Bill's car before. Rylee knows all of these weapons are in Bill's car. Knives scattered about his car. In the center console, near the ashtray, in the passenger side area, in the glove box. There's weapons in the back seat. It's not until Rylee runs back to the car where he knows there's weapons, Bill knows there's weapons, that Bill gets the gun. But he doesn't go up to Rylee and point the gun at Rylee because he can see Rylee doesn't grab a weapon. And when Rylee gets away from the car and starts coming at Bill, put down the gun and fight me like a man, we see that Bill's not pointing the gun at him because he doesn't want to use it. We see Bill backing up, having the gun pointed towards the ground, just like we can see. Now, the other important thing that we saw in this case is the positioning right at the end of that video and the beginning of the next. On the left of your screen is the very end screenshot of the video right before the shot rings out. And on the right is the screenshot of the very start of the next video. And I want you to look and I want you to pay attention to where Bill is standing before that gunshot and where Rylee is after the gunshot. Bill didn't go towards Rylee. Rylee came at Bill. Rylee came at Bill and the gun went off. Those were Tiffany's words. Rylee came at Bill and the gun went off. And we know, even though Tiffany said, I don't think Rylee grabbed the gun. She says, I think I saw the gun the whole time. But she even admitted on that stand that when Rylee went at Bill, Rylee's back was to Bill. Or Rylee's back was to Tiffany. Tiffany couldn't see his arms. Tiffany couldn't see the gun. Tiffany didn't see what Rylee and Bill were doing with the gun. Because Rylee came at Bill, grabbed that gun, and tried to pull it away from Bill. The state wants you to believe that it's absurd or it doesn't make sense that Rylee would have been reaching for the gun and pulling it when it went off. But we saw that. We saw with a gun that Officer Rodens told you had the same measurements as the shotgun used in this case. And this blue tape is the exact location where the foregrip was on the shotgun, and this blue tape was exactly where the flashlight was. And when we had Dr. Kovac on the stand, he told you, if somebody's leaning forward and pulling the gun, that this position is consistent with the injuries that Rylee had. Because this is moderately downward, It's front to back and left to right. It's the exact trajectory of the BBs. That's what Dr. Kovac told you. The state wants you to believe that Rylee was on his knees with his hands up in the air when Bill shot him. In that video that we saw, we know that the shooting happens and Bill is able to get the phone and speak to 911 in an exact minute after that video ends. As Rylee's trying to come towards Bill, saying, "Put down the gun and fight me like a man." And the state wants you to believe that Rylee went up to Bill, said, "Okay, Bill, I give up." That's what the state wants you to believe. Because that's the only other way that Rylee gets the injuries that Dr. Kovac told you about. That doesn't make sense.
The facts, not in evidence.
Or argument.
It's argument. Proceed.
In her opening statement, the state told you the gun was in a downward trajectory. And imagine the positions of the body that it would have to be in. There's no other way Rylee gets those injuries with that trajectory unless he's either on his knees or grabbing the gun and pulling it towards himself. Which one is consistent with that video that we saw? We know that that's what happened because it's consistent with the neighbors, Mariah and Nathaniel Bricko. The only people that you heard in this case that have no connection to Rylee, except the officers and the experts. All the other citizen witnesses that you heard from have some sort of connection to Bill or Rylee, but not the Brickos. And what did Nate Bricko tell you? That he looked out, he turned on the light, and we even saw in those screenshots, it was a little bit lighter because that was the Brickos' front porch light that came on. And he says when he looked out, he saw what he initially described as a struggle. He then said, well, maybe it wasn't a struggle, but they were definitely close. It looked like they were touching. Because from his distance, seeing Rylee and Bill struggling over that weapon and pulling it, that's what he saw. That's the struggle that he was describing in his written statement. And Mariah told you in her written statement that she heard very clearly, "I'm going to shoot you if you don't stop." If Bill intended to kill Rylee, why is he saying that? He's saying that because Rylee came up to him, grabbed the gun, they're struggling, and Bill said, "If you don't stop, I'm going to shoot you." That's what Mariah said she heard very clearly. And right when Nate saw that struggle and they heard a mention of a shooting, Nate said he immediately turned, went inside, grabbed his son, and under a minute later, he heard a muffled gunshot. Because that was Rylee pulling the gun into himself, causing the gun to go off. Those are the only witnesses that don't have a connection to Rylee or Bill. They can be believed. Other injuries are consistent with Rylee pulling the gun away from Bill, causing it to go off. Remember the state introduced evidence of Bill's finger and how Dr. Kovac told you that that would happen? If Bill's finger isn't, or if the butt of the gun isn't against Bill's shoulder and the gun kicks back and it hits your finger, that's what could cause the injury to Bill's finger. Just like when Rylee reached, grabbed it and was pulling it, the butt of the shotgun came away from Bill's body, causing his finger to hit that trigger, discharging the gun, causing the trigger guard to go back onto Bill's finger. There's no other way that Bill's finger gets injured in that way. Also consider, if Rylee is on his knees when he gets shot, we saw the image of Rylee forward. But if he's straight up and down and gets shot, and the force of that shot, where is Rylee going to go? He's going to go this way. But that's not what we saw. Because Dr. Kovac told you if Rylee grabbed the gun, pulled it, got shot, he could fall straight down. Just in the exact position that we saw. It's consistent with the DNA evidence. How does Rylee's DNA get on that foregrip unless he grabs it? His DNA is located in that mixture with the highest likelihood ratio that the state laboratory has. Rarer than the entire world's population. 1 in 7 trillion. We know that's Rylee's DNA on that foregrip, because there was so much of that DNA when he grabbed it and was trying to pull the gun away from Bill. Kevin Scott told you that when there's friction and pressure applied, that's when you're going to leave more DNA behind, as Rylee did when he grabbed it and was trying to pull it. Why doesn't Bill assist Rylee? Bill told you he thought Rylee was still a threat. Tara told you when she came running outside, she saw Rylee on his knees with no blood. She thought Rylee was faking it. She didn't think Rylee had actually been shot. She thought Rylee was faking it. And if she thought Rylee was faking it, what about Bill? This is a person who just said, put down the gun, fight me like a man, came at Bill and grabbed that gun. If he gets up, he's still a threat to Bill. So Bill does what he believes to be the best. Get that phone, call 911, and get them there as soon as possible, which is exactly what he does. Yes, Bill did not try to render aid to Rylee, because the state just pointed out in their close, and you heard Dr. Kovac tell you, that wouldn't have saved Rylee's life. It wouldn't. Don't think that the failure to run over to Rylee and try to render aid means that Bill's guilty of intending to kill Rylee. Bill did exactly what you would expect if he did believe Rylee was a threat, to still maintain some distance from him and talk to 911. Officers told you, not just Bill, other officers told you that the #1 priority when they respond to a situation like this is to secure the scene. Because if there's still an active threat, you're not going to be able to perform aid if there's still a threat for an attack on officers or others. That wasn't just Bill who told you that. That was officers. Current police officers told you, #1, always make sure the scene is secure. And if Rylee's still a threat to Bill, it's not secure. Remember, we heard from Officer Shabelsky. He told you that this was the second day on his own. He was not even 3 months into being a sworn police officer with Wapaka Police Department. had just got done with field training officers. This was his second shift on his own. His first emergency call he ever responded to on his second day on his own. And what did Officer Shabilsky do? He remained calm. Because he told you why that's so important for people to remain calm, to provide details, to make sure officers know of the information they need so that rescue can come, additional officers can respond. Bill remained calm because that's what he was trained to do. Just like every other officer who responded. That doesn't mean Officer Shabilsky, his heart wasn't racing. His adrenaline wasn't going. It probably was. But he knew he needed to control that and remain calm for everybody. We also know Bill's mind that night was clear. He didn't have any alcohol in his system. He didn't have any drugs in his system. He had some nicotine and he had some caffeine. But Rylee was on meth. And we heard Dr. Kovac tell you what meth does to an individual, and Officer Grant tell you what meth does to an individual. Impulsive, unpredictable, violent, aggressive. That is exactly the Rylee we saw in that video. Aggressive, unpredictable. When he lunges towards Bill and grabs that gun, something Rylee never would have done had he not been on meth. He was unpredictable. State wants you to believe couldn't have been an accident. Bill never said it was an accident, that Rylee pulled the gun and the gun went off. But if Rylee pulled that gun and Bill's finger did hit that trigger, in that moment when everything happened so quickly, Bill's number one thought is, my finger hit that trigger. I shot him. I had that gun. I shot him. He came at me. I had to do it. Those were Bill's words. You never heard Bill's words saying, I wanted to kill Rylee. I'm glad I killed Rylee. He never said any of that. Tiffany told you Rylee went at Bill and the gun went off. Tiffany told you in those words that it was an accident. The state tried to also show you all of these text messages from Bill's phone showing how he intended to kill Rylee, where he said, I'm hunting down thieves. He also said, I'm working on some paperwork, hunting down the third. He's not telling somebody he's going to get his gun and drive around hunting down somebody. It means I'm trying to find out who took my animals so I can get them and bring them home safely. Whoever took them signed their own death sentence. Because whoever took them, Bill knew, didn't know how to properly care for them or handle them. And they were venomous. They were going to bite that person and kill them. That's what he meant by signing their own death sentence. Not, I'm going to go kill whoever found my animals. Because we never heard any of those messages because they didn't exist. Solving it on the streets. It's exactly what Bill did. He was going around on the streets trying to find information. Just that night, he went to Tara's house to try to get more information at that time about his animals. There's no text messages on Bill's phone. I'm going to kill whoever did this. I'm going to kill Rylee. I found out Rylee's involved. I'm going to go kill him. I'm going to shoot whoever did this. There's no threats. How many of us have gotten so upset we've said, I am so upset I could kill you? That wasn't even Bill's words. Bill never even said anything near that because he wasn't so upset he wanted to kill somebody. He was trying to find his animals and bring them home safely. I also want you to think about this. If Bill intended to kill Rylee, what sort of evidence do you think we would have seen in this trial? If Bill had that gun, when he got out of his car and he was close to Rylee earlier before the video kicked on, if he intended to kill Rylee, why didn't he shoot Rylee right then and there? Because he didn't intend to kill Rylee. He didn't intend to use the gun. He didn't want to use the gun. If Bill intended to kill Rylee, why was the gunshot in his right armpit? If Rylee was on his knees when Bill shot him, why would Bill deliberately go to his right armpit and shoot him? Rylee wasn't shot in the head. He wasn't shot in the back. He wasn't shot directly in the chest. If Bill intended to kill Rylee, why would he intend to shoot him in the right armpit? If Bill intended to kill Rylee that night, you heard, this is a double-barrel shotgun. 2 triggers. Both barrels are loaded. The same trigger or trigger area. 1 trigger for the left barrel, 1 trigger for the right barrel. If Bill intended to kill Rylee, why wouldn't he shoot him a second time? Because he didn't intend to kill Rylee. When the shot went off and Rylee let go of the gun and fell down is when Bill backed away. Because he didn't intend to shoot him. He didn't intend to kill him. If Bill intended to kill Rylee, why immediately call 911 as soon as he could? As soon as Rylee was shot, Bill asked Tiffany, "Where's my phone? We need to call 911. Tiffany had just had his phone. They get in his car, they find the phone, she dials it, hands it to Bill, and he's immediately talking to 911. Why? If he intended to kill Rylee, if he wanted Rylee to die, why would he call 911 at all? Why wouldn't he sit around and wait to call 911? Tara told you as soon as she came outside, Bill was on the phone with somebody. If Bill intended to kill Rylee, why wouldn't he just jump in his car and leave? And just leave Rylee there? Because he cares for Rylee. He didn't intend to shoot him. He didn't intend to kill him that night. State tries to argue to you that Bill testified about all of his officer training, yet he was terrified of Rylee. As though police officers can't get scared in situations. When we were here for jury selection, a lot of you indicated, I could never be an officer because of the situation that they have to put themselves in. We all know officers, despite their years of training and experience, get scared in situations. as the judge told you, Bill doesn't need to prove his innocence. The state is bound to prove Bill guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. There's a reason that Bill's on this side and the state's on this side. Because over here, Bill starts with the presumption of innocence. And the state wants you to find Bill guilty. Imagine there's a river flowing right between these two tables. Raging river. The state, in order to get Bill from innocent to guilty, needs to build a bridge. A bridge of evidence that you can hoist Bill on your shoulders and cross over that river to their side. That evidence needs to convince you beyond a reasonable doubt that Bill's guilty. The judge also told you that if you can reconcile the evidence with any reasonable hypothesis consistent with Bill's innocence, you should do so. And Rylee reaching at Bill, grabbing that gun and pulling it isn't just a reasonable hypothesis in this case. It's consistent with the DNA evidence. It's consistent with Dr. Kovac's testimony. It's consistent with the neighbor's testimony. It's consistent with the video that we all saw. It's consistent with that timeline that you saw we put together as this trial went on. It all points to the same conclusion. It's not just a reasonable hypothesis. It's the truth of what happened. That Rylee came at Bill, grabbed that gun, and the gun went off. It was an accident, not a crime that Bill committed that night. That's why I'm asking you, during your deliberations, ignore the sympathy and the emotion that all of us feel on this case. Look at the evidence that's been presented and look at the truth of what happened after that video goes off and return a verdict of not guilty. Thank you.